Oh, hi. Welcome to the floor. I don't know why we're on the floor. It just feels right today. I'm near the heater. So shall we chat about small art spaces and how to organise them so that you maintain your creativity without feeling like super overwhelmed sometimes about the stuff that you've got or how to find stuff. Of course, the term small space is absolutely relative. Somebody could be working just on a desk in a bedroom or even on the floor. That's what I used to do before I got this space. Now I'm in a little shed which is about 10 feet by 8 feet, and when I first moved into it, boy did it seem massive. And of course other people will be perhaps in, say, a garage space, and it's still a small kind of space depending on how they use it. So whatever your version of that is, I think it's about finding systems that work for you and figuring out how your brain works best and how your creativity can get fueled better by organising things in particular ways. So I'm just going to share some of the things that work for me. The first thing that I absolutely do is that I kind of zone things. I don't know whether this applies to other artists who are a bit more solely focused on one medium, whether this kind of thing helps with that. Because I'm not an artist who has, say, multiple versions of, I don't know, gouache paints. I have one pack of gouache paints. I have sort of one pack of watercolour paints. So I don't have like lots of different varieties that I can compare and contrast because they're not my primary creative mediums, because I like to kind of mix and match lots of different kind of methods and mediums. This is why zoning really works for me as a kind of multi-passionate arty person. So I'll tell you my zones that I kind of think of this space as being in, and then perhaps you can kind of see what I mean. So over here I've got the painting zone. This corner of the room is where I have my easel, I have my paints, I have all of my brushes, and I tend to cluster like with like. So I have my bigger tubes of acrylic all together, my paint pens all in one pot together. I have smaller tubes of paint on the desk at the top, so they are nice and easy to grab whenever I feel that painting mood coming on. Behind me in this cupboard is the textile zone. It has all the stuff that I tend to make puppets with, so felt, fur, fat quarters, my sewing kit, wool, and my teeny tiny sewing machine. In that corner up the top over there is the kind of drawing, sketching, paper zone. This is where I have coloured pencils, marker pens, lots of different papers, erasers, sharpeners. You get the gist. And in this corner, a kind of craft zone. So I have one nook which is for clay, plaster casting, general kind of modelling. And then I also have a wood carving nook. And then I have another nook which is tools, a heat gun, a Dremel, a glue gun, practical things like that. I have a small tower of colourful drawers which is really helpful for separating out different crafts. So I have one which has felting things in it. I have a printmaking drawer which has all of the inks in there. And I have other drawers which are just practical ones. So there's one for all the glues I have. There's another one for all the sticky things, masking tape and sellotape and double-sided tape, all the tapes. So the second thing that I would say I do to make it easier on myself to keep things organised is just to tidy up. It's so easy when you do finally get a space where you can leave projects unfinished. It's really easy to just let everything go, to find yourself leaving your materials out, because it doesn't matter so much. You can kind of give yourself that space to not have to tidy up after every single thing you do, and that's absolutely needed for when you're in the middle of projects. But when you get to a natural kind of pause in that, or the end of the project, I just find it so much better for my brain to just have a really good clear up. Just make sure the surfaces are clear. If I can, I get around with my oh my god, what's it called? My dustpan and brush. Oh, get around with the broom and the dustpan and brush, just kind of sweep up any bits of debris that have been flying since I've been making. Just clear everything down, put everything back where it's meant to go, and it not only reaffirms where those things are meant to go in your brain so that you can keep finding them, but that having that clear space, it helps me to be creative in a fresh way again. Because if I've got clutter from previous ideas milling around, yeah, it kind of like just muddies up my brain a little bit. Especially if I'm feeling like super tired. It's really hard to be creative when you're feeling that tiredness. Your brain just isn't functioning very well. I feel like I've got ideas in there, but I just don't have the energy to actualize them and to know how to get them out. So sometimes organising things, tidying things up, it can give your hands something to do while you're in that kind of tired zone, and you can be processing things in the background, you know? Just helps me kind of reset and think about the next thing. Oh, it's getting chilly down here again now. I might have to put the heater on in a minute. Come to me, heater. The last thing that I'm going to mention is reassessing. Not feeling like whatever you decide right now has to be the way it stays. Because your creativity will keep on changing, and so your space can keep on changing. Just because you've got bits of furniture or whatever that you've decided to use doesn't mean you have to keep using them in the same way, that they have to necessarily stay exactly where you put them. I've moved things around in this shed so often as I've got more things that I wanted to fit in, or as I have changed the way that I want to work. I have at least one bit in every year. It's usually the springtime, usually spring clean time, where it's a bit warmer, so I can throw open the doors and I can get stuff out of the shed. I can put it on the ground outside and have a really good sweep up in here, a good clean, and see exactly what I have and decide whether or not I still need it. When I was doing an art course, I was told that you should keep everything. Keep every piece of art you ever make. Because you never know when you might want to return to it, when it might turn into something later on. I can absolutely understand that logic, because there are sometimes like sketchbooks when I've gone back and looked at something and thought, I could do something with that now. But, to have to, like, where do you put all this stuff? Where do you put all this artwork that you're supposed to keep forever and ever and in a shrine to your creativity? I don't know where you're supposed to put it. I have 2 big portfolios which were what I used on the course, where I have some of that work still in there. But quite honestly, every year when I do a spring clear out, I take another look at it and I get rid of a bit more from it. So yes, there's things that I'll keep, but it is impractical to keep everything. You've just got to make some decisions sometimes and just think, well, I'm just going to let it go, because I don't have a place where I can archive all of this stuff. I've got lots of puppets that I've made and I really don't want to get rid of my puppets. And it's part of the reason that I don't make as many puppets now, is because I don't know where to put them if I make them. And of course, you also always have a look at the materials that you're using. Is there stuff that you tried and you sort of liked it at the time, but perhaps you're not using it so much anymore, and do you really think you'll go back to it? Do you want to keep hold of that? Or could somebody else use it more, and perhaps you could like give it to them to have a go and explore their creativity with it? Or do you perhaps have duplicates of things that you hadn't realised that you had, so you can move those along to somebody else? As I say, I'm not somebody who generally buys more of something until I've used up the old pack. So unless I need something, I'm not going to go and buy something, because I've still got plenty of stuff to use. And to be honest with you, art materials, they do last me a long time. So like, maybe I'm not making enough art, but I think it comes down to as well, again, that because I'm interested in lots of different things, I don't run down my materials as quickly, because I'm not using just solely them for every piece of art that I make. I'm using lots of different things. So yeah, I think that's why that is. All of that is rambly. It's a very rambly way of saying zone out your areas. What was my second one? Oh yeah, to tidy up. And 3, declutter when you can, and always keep reassessing how to store things. I don't know whether any of that made sense, but here we are. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you found it at all helpful, please do consider giving it a thumbs up on the like button, because that actually really helps. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you do to make your small space easier to be creative in, and yeah, share some of your tips down below. That is it. You wouldn't think so, because for some reason I can't seem to say goodbye because my brain is going so slow. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Keep making happy, and I'll see you next time.